Part 55. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 541. As soon as Tong Yu, Lu Zhengzheng, and Fang Yao arrived at the Shanyu's Haiheng headquarters, they were warmly welcomed in by the brand director and others who had come out early and were waiting at the door. Teacher Zhang just called Mr. Shen and explained that she will not be here until later. The three teachers will take a rest in this room first. If you need anything, please tell my assistant. Tong Yu was about to explain why her artist didn't come, but she swallowed it back. Director Hua, just go and get busy. When Director Hua left, her assistant brought tea and snacks. Fang Yao was stuffed with a handful of dried fruits by Lu Zhengzheng in her hand. After eating one, she couldn't hold back and asked her doubts, Sister Tong, Sister Zhengzheng, what's wrong with this person from the Shanyu's Haiheng brand, are we so enthusiastic? She also worked as a temporary assistant for a short period of time before she was not selected as Sister Zixie's assistant. It is the kind that is temporarily requisitioned when an artist is short of assistants. I once followed an artist to a brand to take promotional photos. The brand was quite enthusiastic, but not considerate enough to prepare a separate reception room, tea, and snacks for them. That is just a small cosmetics brand that has not even gone abroad yet, while Shanyu's Haiheng is already well known internationally. She thought the brand's attitude would be cold, but she didn't expect that the treatment she received was not only warm, but even kind. To be honest, he was so friendly that she didn't even know how to react just now. It wasn't until the people from the brand left that she felt more comfortable. When asked by Fang Yao, Tong Yu and Lu Zhengzheng looked at each other with smiles on their lips. Lu Zhengzheng put his hand on Fang Yao's shoulder and patted her, with a tone of voice like someone who had come before. Okay, you don't need to be nervous this time. Let me tell you this, if Sister Zixie came with us just now, then come on, it's not just the brand director of Shanyu's Haiheng who greets us, but Mr. Shen himself. Fang Yao's eyes widened when he heard this. Are you so proud? Tong Yu smiled and shook her head. I can't say it's because of my reputation. It's because you Sister Zixie has a good personal relationship with Mr. Shen of Shanyu's Haiheng, and they have another relationship. Another relationship? You'll find out later. The low-key black car drove directly into the basement of Shanyu's Haiheng. While turning the steering wheel, Huzi explained to Zhang Lingzi, who was sitting in the back seat, Sir, this car has a pass for Shanyu's Haiheng, and there is also a special parking space here. Sister 11, please give me a call when you are done and come directly to the basement. That's fine, you can go out directly from the basement when the time comes. Okay, thank you for your hard work, Huzi. Sister 11, you're welcome. The car stopped. Zhang Lingzi took her mobile phone and first sent a message to Tong Yu and Shen Shuiu that they had arrived. The next second after the message was successfully sent, Shen Shuiu's voice call came. Sister-in-law, where are you? You're in the basement. You're about to get off the car. Which floor do you want to go to? Did you go directly into the basement? Did my cousin send you here? No, I asked Huzi to drive me here. Oh, cousin, don't move. My cousin's parking space is next to my car. I'll go down to pick you up. Your agent and assistant are already here and will be in the reception room. Zhang Lingzi had put her hand on the car door, but took it back after hearing this. Okay, I will wait for you. Several secretaries in the general manager's secretariat were immersed in their work. When they heard the footsteps getting closer and closer, they quickly raised their heads and raised their chests. They were bound to put Mr. Shen in the best working condition for them. However, the footsteps had no intention of stopping when they passed the secretariat, and they quickly walked out. When the footsteps were far away, several people couldn't help but look at each other. What are Mr. Shen going to do in such a hurry? Is there any important mission to visit you today? I haven't heard of it, but our brand spokesperson Zhang Lingzi seems to be here today to take promotional photos. Then Mr. Shen is not so anxious to meet a spokesperson. Is it possible that our Mr. Shen is still a fan of Zhang Lingzi? I did look a bit like a star-chasing girl just now. Not only the secretariat, many employees of Shanyu's Haihang soon saw with their own eyes that Mr. Shen passed by various departments without stopping and went straight to the elevator. The elevator went straight to the basement. Shen Chuiao saw the low-key black car parked next to her red supercar from a distance, and walked over quickly. Zhang Lingzi saw Shen Chuiao approaching in the rear-view mirror, picked up her mobile phone, opened the door and got out of the car. As soon as I closed the car door, I was hugged by people rushing towards me. Finally we meet again, cousin sister-in-law. Zhang Lingzi actually reacted for 2 seconds after being hugged. If anyone else had done this, she would have kicked her out before her head. He raised his hand and hugged me back. It did take a long time. It's not too late, it's not too late. It's so fragrant and warm. Shen Chuiao squinted her eyes again and rubbed her hands before reluctantly letting go. The basement is a bit cold. Sister-in-law, let's go up first. Shen Chuiao was chattering almost all the way next. Sister-in-law, I watched your live broadcast last night. I was so happy when my cousin suddenly spoke. Did you hit him after the live broadcast? No, I can't bear to fight. Shen Chuiao a bowl of dog food fiercely, paused for 2 seconds before continuing. I also won the lottery, and I paid special respects before the lottery, but unfortunately I still didn't win. Cousin, what gifts are you going to prepare for the winning audience? Can you give me a little insight? Painting. Ink painting. Zhang Lingzi tilted her head to meet Shen Chuiao's starry eyes and nodded. I'll draw it, and your cousin will be responsible for framing it. Shen Chuiao, I'm so envious of those viewers who won the lottery. No, it's jealousy. The longing is written on your face. Zhang Lingzi reached out and opened the elevator door. I'll draw you a painting as an apology for the delay. However, we don't accept customization. If it weren't for the high heels she wore today, Shen Chuiao felt that she would be able to jump up and down right now. It's okay, I can draw anything, I like them all. Cousin, you don't know how stingy my cousin is. I borrowed that. It was only 3 days since he painted blue waves and everything, and he sent someone to take it away as soon as the 3 days were up, without even letting me take a second look at it. Hearing Shen Chuiao's comments about Shen Yunqing, Zhang Lingzi thought of the objects she saw in the main courtyard of Ziwan last night. Although it was more than 1,000 years ago, every object inside was still well preserved. She still remembered someone saying that very few objects related to Emperor Yuan Zhao existed in history, and now the culprit was finally found. Just the objects in the main courtyard of Ziwan can be used to open an exhibition hall related to Emperor Yuan Zhao. He does take good care of my things. Shen Chuiao, I don't think I need to eat at noon today. Why? The dog food is full. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 542. Shen Chuiao reached out and pushed open the door of the reception room. This reception room was originally my private reception room. I will use it today to rest, put on makeup and change clothes. Next door is the studio for taking pictures, and the scene is still being set up. You can take a break and eat something. As soon as the door opened, the 3 people sitting in the reception room stood up and looked towards the door. Xiao 11. Sister Zixi. After Fang Yao saw clearly that the young woman walking next to his artist was exactly the same as the photo of the founder of Shanyu's Haihang printed on the cover of the magazine he just read, he quickly carried the unfinished nuts in his hands behind his back. At the same time, he cast an admiring look at his senior sister Zheng Zheng. It was really the founder of Shanyu's Haihang who personally picked up Sister Zixi. Sister Tong, Zheng Zheng, hello. We meet again. Shen Chuiao waved to the 2 of them familiarly, and then looked at Fang Yao, who was standing at the back with some restraint. What is this? My cousin has something new. Assistant. Well, the newly selected people who came back from Liangchuan are not bad, right? Shen Shuiao looked at it carefully again and nodded in agreement. The person chosen by my cousin is definitely the same. What's his name? Shen. Hello Mr. Shen, my name is Fang Yao. Fang Yao looked at Mr. Shen in front of him, and then at Sister Zixi who had already sat down on the single sofa. For a moment, he felt that his little head was a little inadequate. She seemed to have just heard Mr. Shen call Sister Zixi cousin-in-law. She must have heard it right, right? It's okay, just feel free here. Sister-in-law, please take a break and drink some water. I'll ask the makeup artist and photographer how the preparations are going. Zhang Lingzi waved her hand, go and do your work. You don't have to take care of me. When Shen Shuiao left, Fang Yao breathed a sigh of relief. Although the other party's attitude does seem very close, she can't relax as long as she thinks of the other party's identity. In fact, she was nervous when facing Zhang Lingzi at the beginning, but since she went to wake her up that time, she saw with her own eyes that Zhang Lingzi, like some little girls, would roll on the bed holding the quilt to relax and vent her anger, and she felt a distance away from her. It was much closer and I wasn't so nervous after that. When Tong Yu and Lu Zhengzheng sat down again, she followed suit. Seeing Sister Tong talking to Sister Zixi, she stretched out her hand and tugged on Lu Zhengzheng's sleeve and asked in a low voice, Sister Zhengzheng, I just thought I heard Mr. Shen call Sister Zixi cousin. This is another layer of the relationship between Mr. Shen and our Sister Zixi that Sister Tong said our Sister Zixi's husband is Mr. Shen's cousin. Fang Yao just put a pistachio in his mouth and fell out of his mouth again, husband. Hush, although Sister Zixi admitted on the live broadcast yesterday that she has someone she likes, the matter of marriage is still confidential. You are now Sister Zixi's assistant, so you can know the most accurate information. But her boo was obviously too late. Zhang Lingzi had already turned her head when she heard their whispers. The two of them immediately shrank their necks in unison, and stretched out their hands to make a zipper motion on their mouths. Speaking of this, I was really sweating for you when I watched your live broadcast yesterday. It would be better to just admit it openly. Otherwise, with your careless behavior, if you are really caught by netizens, I will be a little embarrassed. No surprise. Fortunately, there have been hot searches about you suspected of being in love before. This time I admit it directly. I think the acceptance of your fans and netizens on the internet is not bad. Most of them understand and wish you well. Don't worry about some extreme fans. Anyway, they are everywhere. There are always people like this, and if you care about what they say, you're making things difficult for yourself. Zhang Lingzi looked away and nodded obediently. After hearing what Tong Yu said, she didn't even dare to say that she didn't even check whether the fans would accept it. It doesn't matter whether she accepts it or not. Fans can't influence her decision anyway. Well, if Su Qingmei hadn't just woken up, you guys would have topped the list of hot searches by bursting out so much information and topics during this live broadcast. Her incident was too much discussed. You see, it's still hot now. It's not on the top of the search list, but this is probably the last time Su Qingmei will be on the top of the hot search list. Zhang Lingzi glanced at Tong Yu's mobile phone screen. The picture showed Su Qingmei holding her assistant's arm, wrapped in a grey coat and preparing to get in the car. I noticed someone was secretly filming me and glared in the direction of the camera. Is she discharged from the hospital? It's probably a transfer. Public hospitals are full of people coming and going. They can't isolate the paparazzi at all, and there's no privacy at all. I'm not surprised that she was transferred to another hospital just after she woke up. After all, no one wants to be watched like a monkey. Even if it reaches the top of the trending list, it won't work. The paparazzi were lamenting that it was more difficult to get updates on Su Qingmei after being transferred to another hospital. However, Su Qingmei, who had just got into the car, sat down and let go of her assistant's hand, then slapped her with all her strength. The doctors and nurses from the private hospital who came to pick her up were so frightened by her actions that they all trembled. However, Su Qingmei was so broken that she didn't look at them at all. She only looked at the assistant whose face was beaten away like a dead person, who asked you to make your own decisions and run to the police. Assistant Su Qingmei's face quickly swelled up. She lowered her eyes despite the pain and replied, "Sister Su, I'm scared." "You fainted suddenly." "I was so panicked. When I recovered, the call had already been dialed." Su Qingmei closed her eyes and suppressed the annoyance that was about to overflow in her heart. "When you get to the hospital, contact the police and drop the case." "Can. Do not understand." I understand." The nurse who originally wanted to remind Su Qingmei to pay attention to the wound silently shut her mouth. Since the hospital's car drove very smoothly, she had better not remind her, as she was mainly afraid of getting scolded. Finally, when she was admitted to the independent ward of a private hospital, Su Qingmei looked at the wound on her heart that puzzled the doctor. She took the new mobile phone just given by her assistant and dialed the numbers she had already remembered so well. "I thought this time it would be the same as before, still unable to get through." Unexpectedly, after the phone rang for more than half a minute, the other party actually connected. Hearing the voice from the phone, her knees softened and she knelt down on the carpet. "Sir, please save me." Before the assistant could leave the room, his eyes widened in surprise when he saw Su Qingmei suddenly kneeling down and saying such extremely humble words. She touched her face, which had been so busy since she entered the hospital that she didn't have time to deal with it, and it was still swollen. She accidentally took out her mobile phone, turned on the video recording mode in the direction of Su Qingmei, and then slowly continued back toward the door. "I don't know what the person on the other end of the phone said." Su Qingmei's already pale and haggard face on the screen turned even paler. Then she rolled her eyes and fainted again. But this time, she didn't rush to help him up like before. Instead, he turned off the video and pretended that nothing happened. He processed a few resignation letters sent from the studio outside, and then returned to the ward. Looking at Su Qingmei, who was collapsed on the ground, he exclaimed and clicked the button. Call bell. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 543. Yin Chong listened to the sound coming from the other end of the phone and hung up the phone expressionlessly. He raised his eyes and looked at the two siblings, Luan Hua and Luan Feng, who were standing respectfully aside. Su Qingmei has been in business for so many years it's impossible that he can't even help that young actor named Jing Huai. There must be someone behind Jing Huai who is helping him. Guess who it is, you two. The two siblings could not help but look at each other silently. Luan Hua glanced at her younger brother who was about to speak, and spoke first. "Sir, my subordinates speculate that the person who helped Jing Huai is probably Zhang Lingzi." Zhang Lingzi should have guessed that Su Qingmei is yours, and the two of them there are old grudges in their circle, and now there is an opportunity to suppress Su Qingmei in one fell swoop. With Zhang Lingzi's character, she shouldn't let it go. Luan Feng glanced at his sister standing in front of him. He originally wanted to say, who else could it be besides Zhang Lingzi, although it was the same as his sister's guess. Her sister's wording was undoubtedly much more tactful than him. "It seems that I still have some learning to do." "What is Zhang Lingzi's character?" Yin Chong murmured in a low voice. Luan Feng subconsciously said, "Yi Zi will repay his cruel and ruthless character," but before he could open his mouth, his arm was pinched hard. Luan Hua knew in his heart that the adults had no intention of asking them to answer this question. As expected, Yin Chong didn't even look at them, he just whispered to himself, "How cruel." When he was in the catacombs, at the moment when the tomb collapsed, he watched the woman turn around and leave without looking back, until she completely disappeared from his eyes without even looking back. He managed to escape despite serious injuries. When he finally got access to the internet, he wanted to see if there was any news about Zhang Lingzi's woman. As a result, the search results showed that the woman was suspected of being in love. The two people hugging and kissing in the photo seemed to him extremely dazzling. What is Zhang Lingzi doing now? Since the confrontation in the underground tombs, the sect leader has been injured to the point where he has to retreat to recuperate. Master Yin Chong has also been seriously injured. The life goo in his hand has now completely disappeared. Chong Shi and dozens of Changkang sect elites have been completely buried underground. In the tomb. Instead, another wave of people fought against them, and the losses were almost negligible, not even a single person was lost. Since then, Zhang Lingzi's name has been directly on the Changkang sect's attention list, just like their sect leader's senior brother Wu Ju. Fortunately, the other party is in the entertainment industry, so it is easy to know the trends. Soon Luan Feng got the information and began to report. Zhang Lingzi didn't do much after returning to the imperial capital. Last night, she held a promotional live broadcast with the director and other actors of the Empress Yuan Zhao crew, and we still had people climbing over the wall. I specially recorded the screen. The schedule revealed today is to go to Shanyu's Haiheng to take promotional photos for the spokesperson. In addition, there is definite news that she will attend this International Fashion Festival in a few days. International Fashion Festival, Yin Chong tilted his head. Is it the gathering that will be held in the International Fashion Town? Yes. Go and get me an invitation. Luan Hua hesitated for a moment, and before Yin Chong looked over, he hurriedly responded. Although she felt that it was not appropriate to confront Zhang Lingzi so quickly in the current state of his serious injury. After all, she had already seen Zhang Lingzi's true strength in the catacombs last time, and it was really not appropriate to take risks. But the adult's decision is also not something she can comment on. The two siblings bowed and were about to leave. What about the live broadcast screen recording? Luan Feng almost couldn't control his expression for a moment. He quickly lowered his head to find the relevant video on the tablet in his hand, and handed it over with both hands. Yin Chong took it and waved, "Go out." As soon as Luan Feng went out, he couldn't help but rub his face. "Sister, what do you think my lord is?" Luan Hua directly touched the back of his head and said, "Go out first." Waiting for them to leave the courtyard where only high-level personnel in Changkangmen are eligible to live, I asked, "What did you want to say?" "I just feel that your excellency is a little strange now. It seems that you want Zhang Lingzi to die, but at the same time you can't help but pay attention to this person. It feels so contradictory." Luan Hua felt mixed after hearing this. Even his younger brother, who was always nervous, noticed that something was wrong. The adult's thoughts were already obvious. But in the end she just sighed, looked at her brother and said seriously, "We can't control your thoughts, just don't think too much. How are you recovering from your injuries?" "Not yet, not yet." "Well. Then why don't you hurry up and get treatment? You still have other things to think about." Luan Feng hurriedly ran away, leaving Luan Hua to look back at the yard behind her before walking away with a heavy step. Yin Chong looked at the live broadcast screen recording on his tablet. Even though he is still seriously injured, his hearing is much better than that of ordinary people. The noise in the live broadcast room cannot be noticed by ordinary people, but he can hear it. He could tell that there was always someone in the same space as her in Zhang Lingzi's live broadcast room. Even if that person didn't show up, the sound of walking and turning and writing still maintained a sense of presence intermittently. He continued to watch patiently until he heard the question, "The live broadcast is over," and the hand holding the cup suddenly clenched. "Even though I still didn't see anyone, this voice. Shen Yunqing." When Zhang Lingzi admitted in person that she had a crush on someone in the live broadcast room, and bluntly stated her preference and protection for that person, the screen went dark completely. What a blessing. It's also too dazzling. Asterisk. The sound of the shutter kept ringing in the empty room. There were a lot of people gathered in the studio. In addition to the photographers responsible for the shooting and the stylists responsible for the makeup, as well as the agents and assistants around the spokesperson, even Mr. Shen and the director of the brand department were present throughout the process. The people from the design department didn't go out after they came in. However, with so many people present, no one spoke or communicated during the filming. They all stared at the figure standing in front of the camera with ease. One by one, the photos flashed across the computer screen connected to the camera. Someone glanced at them inadvertently. After looking at them for a while, they didn't see any useless photos. It's not even an exaggeration to say that every one of them could be used as a main promotional image. Director Hua from the brand promotion department noticed the sympathetic looks in the eyes of his colleagues from the design department, and reluctantly moved away from the figure standing under the camera in front of him, and asked in a low voice, "Why are you looking at me like that? That's right, I think you guys have worked really hard." At that time, one of the promotional photos must be selected as the main one. It is not difficult to choose among so many photos, just thinking about it. Fortunately, it's not their department's job, otherwise they would be the ones who would find it difficult. Director Hua. Inexplicable. Until the task of selecting photos was given to her not long after, Director Hua suddenly understood why her colleagues in the design department expressed sympathy for her when they were in the studio. Because she is beginning to sympathize with herself now. End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 544. The promotional photos were taken very smoothly. There was almost no guidance from the photographer on how to pose. Every move of the person under the camera has a natural charm. The back is as straight as a green pine, and the aura is strong and natural. Deliberately removing the concave shape will destroy it. This beauty. After realizing that the effect of his guidance was not as good as the other person's natural movements, the photographer wisely chose not to speak and only pressed the camera shutter until his hand cramped. However, the makeup before shooting is quite time-consuming. Every time I change an outfit, I have to match it with appropriate makeup, hairstyle, and accessories. The most troublesome outfit took nearly 2 hours just to put on the makeup. So even if everything went well during the shooting, by the time all the costumes used for the shooting were taken, a whole day would have passed, and the sky would already be filled with sunset outside the window. Even for lunch, I had to call to order food, and the restaurant would send someone to deliver it. Zhang Lingzi was eating while the makeup artist and makeup artist assistant next to her were still doing makeup on her. After she walked in front of the camera and started filming, the two of them finished their makeup and then started eating. After taking off her makeup and changing back into her own clothes, even Zhang Lingzi couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It's not because I'm tired, but I really feel like I'm finally relieved. Hard. Thanks everyone for your hard work. After exchanging words of hard work, everyone dragged their tired bodies away after a busy day in 2s and 3s. Soon, only Shen Qiuyu and Zhang Lingzi, as well as Tong Yu, Lu Zhengzheng, and Fang Yao were left in the huge studio. Tong Yu walked up to Zhang Lingzi and said, "I'm driving the car today, Zioxi, you." Zhang Lingzi sent the edited message to Huzi, "Sister Tong, when I return to Ziwan today, I won't go back with your car. Okay, if there is no temporary work tomorrow, you can take a rest. If there is temporary work, I will call you." Good. Then I'll take Zhengzheng and Fang Yao and leave first. Watching the three people leave, Zhang Lingzi looked away and met Shen Qiuyu's earnest eyes. "What do you want to do?" "What about that, cousin sister-in-law, can I go back to Ziwan with you?" "Let's go." Shen Qiuyu quickly followed Zhang Lingzi. Hughes saw Zhang Lingzi approaching and opened the car door first, and then looked at Shen Chui who was following behind. Zhang Lingzi, Chuyu, come back with me. Shen Chui waved her hand with a smile on her face. Good evening, brother Hughes. Good evening, Miss Chui, let's get in the car. Zhang Lingzi stepped into the car with her front feet, and got in with her back feet, fearing that the car would drive away without waiting for her in the next second. It wasn't until I fastened my seat belt that I breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't mean to go back and be the light bulb between her cousin and sister-in-law. The main reason was that her cousin's Ziwan was not something she could just enter if she wanted to. Although you don't need to make a reservation in advance, you still need to let us know in advance if you want to go there. In the words of their Shen family, this is a matter of etiquette. There were also paintings, her paintings. Although her cousin-in-law promised that she would have one of hers, she felt at ease only when she actually got it. Zhang Lingzi glanced at her, lowered her head, clicked on Shen Yunqing's profile picture, and typed, "Chui, come back with me and cook for one more person." Shen Yunqing was silent for a moment after seeing the news. Okay. The car drove into Z1 and drove forward for a while before stopping at the entrance of the yard. Shen Chui unbuckled her seat belt and subconsciously glanced at the door of the courtyard, her eyes widened in flattery. The cousin actually came to pick her up at the gate of the yard. No, wait, she shouldn't be the one picking up. How can she have such weight? But everything has come. She got out of the car and leaned over shamelessly. Good evening, cousin. Shen Yunqing nodded to the cousin in front of him and hummed. His eyes fell on Zhang Lingzi, and his eyes softened visibly. Dinner is ready? That's great, I'm really hungry now. My cousin has been shooting all day today. Thank you for your hard work. Let's go for a walk. Let's go eat quickly. Coach. As soon as she finished speaking, Shen Chui looked at her cousin's eyes that said, I can see through you. Shrinking his neck, he decisively sold the goods. I accompanied my cousin-in-law to shoot today, and I also took a lot of photos. Cousin, I will pass them on to you after dinner. Shen Yunqing raised his eyebrows and nodded invisibly. Shen Chui put down the spoon and wanted to collapse on the chair. Not surprisingly, she was full. Zhang Lingzi turned her head and glanced at her. Would you like to go out for a walk? She waved her hands quickly. No, no, cousin, you go ahead, I don't want to move anymore. Zhang Lingzi didn't force it. She took Shen Yunqing out of the yard and walked all the way to the lake. She walked slowly along the path around the lake before returning to the original route. The dinner in my stomach is almost digested. Go back and start painting. How about taking a break first? I just took some photos, and I didn't spend as much time standing there as I did sitting down for makeup, so I'm not tired at all. Oh well. The two of them went back. Shen Chui, who was sitting on the sofa and checking her cell phone, suddenly stood up. Cousin, you are back, cousin. Go to the study room. Shen Chui was shocked and quickly raised her heels. When Zhang Lingzi came in, she saw all the painting tools already laid out on the table. She could just sit down and pick up a pen to draw. Shen Chui walked around the study room and walked to the desk, with anticipation written all over her face. Zhang Lingzi had just chosen a writing brush. He looked up at her wide-eyed eyes and took some paint while she was thinking for a moment. Shen Chui was about to move forward when she suddenly heard a light cough coming from the other side. She was stunned for 2 seconds before she realized what she was doing. She quickly took out her phone and started sending photos. When she successfully transferred all the photos, she put down her phone and saw that on the originally blank piece of paper on the table, there was an orange cat with a round head, a round body, and distinct fur. This is done. Well, do you want an inscription? Inscription is a signature, how can you not do it? Zhang Lingzi changed the writing brush she used for writing, and after writing the words "gift to the first month of the month," she conveniently placed the painting next to Shen Yunqing's hand. Then use the second paperweight and start drawing the second picture. Shen Yunqing glanced at the painting that was not yet dry while receiving the photos, and paused at the 3 words "gift to the early moon, you also won the prize." "That's not true," Shen Chuiao smiled proudly, "my cousin specially drew it for me. The kitten is so cute, hee hee." Shen Yunqing didn't say anything else and only waited for the painting to dry before mounting it. A notification of successful reception came from his mobile phone. He glanced at the person next to him who was still painting seriously, and reached out to open the photo album. "Your Majesty," who obediently tilted his head up to let the makeup artist put on his makeup. Your Majesty's eyes were narrowed by the sun and his brows were peaceful. His Majesty is taking a nap quietly with his arm propped up on the side of his face. There was also His Majesty, who noticed the capture and looked over with calm eyes. When he raised his head again, he realized that he had missed work. End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 545. Zhang Lingzi tapped the tip of the brush that had not yet been dipped in ink on the table. "Go and frame it." Shen Chuiao couldn't help blinking as she looked at her cousin, who obediently took the painting to the table next to him to frame it. She actually wanted to take a picture of the scene and send it to the family group, so that the rest of the Shen family could come and see this obedient and somewhat cowardly cousin. Hands were placed on the mobile phone in his pocket, but in the end he could not take it out. She is even more cowardly. She doesn't dare. Zhang Lingzi drew a furry red panda chewing bamboo in 3 or 2 strokes, put down the brush and rubbed her wrist. This panda is the largest number of small animals she painted tonight, not only because it is easy to draw, but also because the more she draws, the better it becomes. She even thought about how to just draw pandas for the rest. There are all prototypes, namely Zizai. Shen Chuiao counted on the side. There are already 11 pictures. "How many pictures are you going to draw, cousin? Also, why are there all kinds of small animals?" Although the small animals painted are also very lively, she still wants to see something like blue waves, but unfortunately she hasn't waited until now. "I want to paint 50 pictures because I like painting." Shen Chuiao opened her mouth. "If I remember correctly, there are only 100 winning places, and cousin sister-in-law, you have to prepare half of the gifts yourself? Isn't this bullying? I asked for it myself." Shen Chuiao was silent for a moment, thinking about what happened last night before Director Wei said there was a lottery, and she suddenly realized. "I couldn't help but turn my head and glance at my cousin, who was still carefully framing calligraphy and paintings at the next table. She thought that her cousin was just trying to help her daughter-in-law, and that she had her own fault. I didn't expect that, cousin sister-in-law, your favorite thing to draw is actually small animals. I always thought it was landscape painting. By the way, if I remember correctly, there was another person in history who liked to draw all kinds of small animals, and that was you, cousin sister-in-law. The role of Empress Yuan Zhao this time is so fateful when I think about it." Shen Chuiao's words caused Zhang Lingzi, who was drinking water, and Shen Yunqing, who was busy mounting the frame, to pause. Shen Chuiao raised her head after speaking and saw not only her cousin-in-law, but also her cousin at the next table looking towards her. Did I say something wrong?" "No," Zhang Lingzi shook her head, paused, and suddenly smiled. "It is indeed quite fate." Drawed a few more pictures, and Xiaoji couldn't help but knock on the door to remind her that it was getting late. Shen Chuiao quickly applied for the right to stay. She watched her cousin-in-law and her cousin go back to the room together, and she also carried the framed painting into the guest room. Before going to bed, she debated whether to hang the painting at home or in her office, and finally decided to hang it in her office. She can only appreciate it by herself when hanging it at home, but she can not only appreciate it but also show it off when hanging it in the office. She is such a clever little girl. It's just that I seem to have forgotten something. It doesn't matter, I'll think about it tomorrow. Late night. Director Hua, who was given the important task of selecting photos, continued to work on thousands of photos while drinking coffee to refresh himself in front of the computer. She didn't realize there were so many photos when she was shooting during the day. At that time, she just heard the shutter sound ringing non-stop until she got the memory card and saw the number of photos displayed. She almost lost her temper. This challenge lasted until early in the morning. Director Hua rubbed his eyes that were so sore that he couldn't help but look at the two photos side by side on the computer screen. Suddenly he wailed. She really couldn't choose. It's just that we don't understand the joys and sorrows of human beings. The protagonist of the photo and his immediate boss have already fallen into a sweet dream. Early the next morning, Zhang Lingzi came out of the room and saw Shen Shui already sitting in the restaurant having breakfast. Get up so early. I still have to go to work. Today I have to roll out the spokesperson's promotional photos on all major publicity platforms. Wait, Shen Shui said, her eyes widening suddenly. I remembered something I forgot before going to bed last night. Zhang Lingzi thanked Xiaoji who brought her breakfast and asked casually, what? I asked Director Hua to choose the photos, but I forgot to ask her if she had chosen the photos well, but it doesn't matter, it's not too late to ask again when I get back to the company. Well, what do you want me to do? After the account is released, cousin sister-in-law, you can just forward it with your account. Good. Hey, where is my big cousin, isn't he still lying in bed? Zhang Lingzi looked behind her, here we come. Shen Shui subconsciously turned her head to look over. When she saw who was coming, she immediately came to the dry land to pull onions. She squeezed the unfinished buns in her hands and ran away. Cousin and cousin, I'll leave first. You guys eat slowly. After saying that, the person ran away without a trace, but soon came back close to the wall. What, I forgot the painting. Zhang Lingzi waited for Shen Shui to go away. How's it going over there in Wuju? An exploration team has passed by and he is withdrawing. Is everything settled? That Tai Sui, and the little guy living in the catacombs. Buddhists believe in letting nature take its course and not touching them unconsciously. This matter is likely to make the news. For example, a huge underground tomb suddenly appeared in the hinterland of Liangchuan Desert, the largest Tai Sui in history. Almost. Then Changkangman should have given up. In fact, I have always suspected that the real purpose of Wu Hua appearing in the ancient tomb is actually the little guy who led us. Even Tai Sui is just a shield. The best outcome would be for him if he didn't fall into Wu Hua's hands. Zhang Lingzi felt a little relieved. She had actually thought about taking the little guy out and raising him in the basement. Although it was a bit troublesome, it was not impossible. Although the little guy lost his freedom, he could at least survive. But she didn't understand the creature at all, so she was afraid that she might do bad things with good intentions. If he is found by an exploration team, will he be used for research? It depends on what kind of research is done. If it is bad research, I will find a way to intervene. Zhang Lingzi clapped his hand. The other side. Shen Shui, who had just returned to the Shanyu's Haihang headquarters, had not had time to choose where to hang her orange cat picture when Director Hua came over with a pair of dark circles under her eyes. Suddenly I felt a little guilty. Thank you for your hard work, Director Hua. Sit down quickly and take photos. How are you doing with the selection of photos? Director Hua was forced to sit down on the sofa. Looking at his expectant boss, he handed over the tablet in his hand with some shame. Finally, we have selected two. I really don't know which one to choose. Mr. Shen, please help me with some advice. Okay, let me take a look. Shen Shui took the tablet and looked at it intently. A few seconds later, looking at her subordinate's eager eyes, she silently took out her phone and said, wait for me. Zhang Lingzi was still continuing her work from last night, painting, when she received the message from Shen Shui. She has calculated that if there is no temporary work to be busy with today, she can finish the remaining 30 paintings within today. She was still sketching the lines when she heard the message, "Yun Qing, please help me see who sent the message." Shen Yunqing picked up her phone as instructed, unlocked it, and when she clicked on it, she saw two large pictures of costumes. His eyes were fixed on the screen for a while before looking at the message sent by Shen Chuiu. "These are the photos I took yesterday, and I finally selected two. Chuiu doesn't know which one is better, and I want to ask your opinion." Zhang Lingzi clicked on the eyes of the deer in the painting, turned her head and looked over. "Let me take a look." "Not bad, it took a beautiful photo of me." Shen Yunqing. "But why do you have to choose one? Can't you use them all?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 546. Shen Chuiu received the reply, "I was enlightened." He raised his head and met Director Shang Hua's gaze. "Children only make choices, adults naturally want them all." Director Hua was confused for a moment and said, "But the main promotional image is usually one, and there is no precedent for showing two at the same time." "Precedents are meant to be broken." Shen Chuiu looked at the two photos on the tablet and an idea came to her mind. "You can tell that the styles of these two photos are completely different." "Well, that's why I have been undecided. These two styles can be said to have reached the extreme. I would be reluctant to give up either one of them, but if we put them together, the difference is too big. Look, these two photos, one is in cold tones and the other is in warm tones, can they be combined with each other?" "Mr. Shen, what you mean is that two characters are combined into one, like one person playing two roles in a movie or TV series." Shen Chuiu snapped her fingers. "That's right. I'll go find the artist in our department and give it a try," Director Hua said as he took the tablet and left in a hurry. Shen Chuiu. She hasn't even had time to show off her new painting. Sometimes all a stunning piece of work requires is a brilliant idea. Shen Chuiu had just hung up the painting when Director Hua barged in again. "Mr. Shen, the promotional photo is ready, please take a look." "Bring it to me and see." An idea is just an idea at the beginning. Only when the idea can be perfectly embodied can it be considered a success. But the moment she got the newly released promotional photos, even Shen Chuiu, who was the first to propose the idea, couldn't help but take a deep breath. "Cousin, I'm sorry, I just couldn't help but write a Lily article in my head." "Put it in, delay it for one more second and it's disrespectful to this photo." With a single order, the Shanyu's Haihang Publicity and Development Department, which had already been ready to go, immediately took action. "Shanyu Zhihengvi, the long-lost promotional photos are finally here. The editor who got the photos has no words and is breathing oxygen. Please enjoy it by yourself. Here is Zhang Lingzi." The accompanying picture is as follows. As early as yesterday during the shooting of promotional photos, Shanyu Zhiheng had already released materials showing the spokesperson taking promotional photos. Many fans who love Shanyu Zhiheng's style were looking forward to it. You will receive a reminder of new updates released by the official account, so you click on it faster than your brain. The employee in the Publicity and Development Department responsible for managing the comment area of the account couldn't help but refresh the homepage again. Comments, comments, why can't I see the comments? The website won't crash again, don't do it. It's not broken. I think everything in other accounts is normal. Then why do I have it here? If the comment area seemed to have been silenced just a few minutes ago, then now there is a blowout. Sorry, I'm out of words. A decisive blow. I held my breath and watched it for at least half a minute. I couldn't bear to take my eyes away while typing. Please Shanyu's Haihang come up with a picture without brand logo, I want to use it as a mobile phone cover. Request Add 1 Zhang Lingzi has had very few endorsement photos or other street photos in the past 6 months, and her output is really too low. But now I want to say that it is better to be low. Please follow this standard in the future, and I won't mind. It is no exaggeration to say that this photo can be regarded as a god. Wearing black clothes and red skirt, this person is 11 Huang. From her aura to her eyes, she is arrogant and domineering, but when you meet her eyes, you will feel that she has been watching you. The one wearing a green shirt and white skirt is the golden and delicate Miss Zhang. She has a touch of pure beauty in her life and is unable to paint a single stroke. This comparison is amazing. The representatives in class upstairs are really impressive. Unlike me, when I see the photo I just say it's so beautiful. Strongly recommend that the Shanyu's Haiheng brand department make a short drama based on this photo. Togo expressed that he really wants to see two young ladies with very different styles fall in love and kill each other. My thoughts have been expressed above, and all the ladies should have taken action by now. Now that the character design is available, is there anyone who can provide the script for free? I am more realistic and asked when the 2 sets of clothes in the photo will go on sale on the official website. If not, pre-sale will be fine. I am very patient and can wait. Zhang Lingzi's mobile phone receives it, and when she clicks on it, she can see the updates released by Shanyu's Haiheng. After seeing the photo, I couldn't help but raise my eyebrows. It turned out that the 2 photos were merged into one. But I have to say, it's pretty good looking. After retweeting something, she took a look at the sudden surge of comments. The comment section about her now is very different from when she first woke up. The negative fans are almost extinct, and the whole article is almost full of praise, which is quite happy. After all, who doesn't want to be told well, and she is no exception. Tong Yu's video was called when she was scrolling through the comments. As soon as she connected, a face with no concealment of excitement appeared on the screen. It's stable now. When Shanyu's Haiheng officially announced that you were the first global spokesperson, there were still many people in the circle who badmouthed you, thinking that your status was not worthy of Shanyu's Haiheng's. Now it's time for these people to shut up. I dare say that no one wearing the same clothes can surpass you in this promotional photo. From now on, you can be considered as the spokesperson of Shanyu's Haiheng. Well, I read the comments and they all praised the photos I took. Haha, you are really not humble at all. But you should be proud this time. I have something else to do to make a video call for you. You say. The news sent to me by Gang Shanyu's Haiheng brand department, they also told me the truth. If the response to this promotional photo is mediocre, then it will be fine, but if the response is very good, or even exceeds expectations, it will be arranged to hold a brand event at the Imperial City head office under the Shanyu's Haiheng line and invite spokespersons to the platform. After saying this, Tong Yu paused for a moment before suppressing her excitement. This is the first time you have stood up for a brand. The first time is the brand Shanyu's Haiheng. This start can be said to be better than 100% in the industry, more than 90 artists, regardless of gender. So, I have a new job. That's right, the specific time has not been notified yet, but it should be within the next few days. After all, it will be the weekend in 3 days. Shanyu's Haiheng's Imperial City main store is in Baikan Plaza. Weekends are the time when the flow of people is the largest. It should also be reserved in the early stage. 1 or 2 days of promotion. Don't stay up late these days and stay in top condition. Not only will it be broadcast online, but you will also probably have face-to-face contact with many fans. By the way, you don't have to prepare for that. Don't be hasty when it comes to live broadcasting winning gifts, take care of the brand platform first. I should be able to prepare the gift today. Why so fast? I have Yun Qing's help. Tong Yu. A gift prepared by Mr. Shen, whose net worth is incalculable. Why didn't she think of giving it a try when she first watched the live broadcast? What if you win? Just regret it? End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 547. Shanyu Haihang V. This weekend, we have invited spokesperson Zhang Lingzi to be the brand platform, which will be located at the Shanyu Haihang Imperial Capital main store in Baikan Plaza, so stay tuned. I have been waiting for Shanyu's Haihang to announce the spokesperson for almost 3 years, and finally it has been announced. The progress is so slow, it almost turns me into a Buddha. Now compared to before, it is like riding a rocket. The spokesperson was announced first, and the promotional photos were released later. Now even the spokesperson has stepped up the process of supporting the brand platform. All I have to say about this is, well done. It's a pure compliment, which is completely different from the meaning of well done in a certain game. Is it Baikan Plaza? I have to take the subway for 3 hours to get there on weekends, so I asked the fans present if they could get an autograph. My home is near Baikan Plaza. I decided not to stay at home on the weekends and go shopping. I also stopped by Shanyu's Haihang's offline store. I hope the official will see this comment. I see that Shanyu's Haihang's official website has not yet opened the pre-sale of new models. Will the 2 new sets worn by Zhang Lingzi be available in the store by then? Are there any fans in Mingdu? I want to form a group and go there together. Fans who are going to see Zixi live gather here. I am from Yundu. If you want to go, you can sign up with me. With Tong Yu, Lu Zhengzheng, and Fang Yao keeping an eye on the trends on the internet, Zhang Lingzi stayed in Ziwan and concentrated on painting for a day. In the evening, before getting ready for dinner, I finally finished the last painting. Feeling relaxed. After dinner, she couldn't help but send a message to Wei Xiao. Director Wei, I have prepared all the gifts here. Wei Xiao saw the news. He asked again uncertainly, are all 50 copies ready? Well, can I send it out tomorrow? Wait a minute, let me ask other people, it's best to send them together, otherwise there may be some complaints if some people receive it first and some don't. By the way, what gift did you prepare? Painting. Painting. You finished 50 paintings in the past 2 days. Can you show me what they are? At hand was a piece that Shen Yunqing had just framed and put up. Zhang Lingzi clicked on it and took a photo and sent it. Click on the picture and look at the cute little panda outlined with ink on the drawing paper. Even the mounting of the scroll is particularly exquisite. There is no trace of perfunctory in the whole painting. Once you get it, you can collect it. Wei Xiao is silent this time for nearly a minute. Are all paintings of this level? Zhang Lingzi simply took another video of him that lasted less than 10 seconds. Dozens of paintings were neatly arranged on the table, and a pair of hands in the corner were packing the paintings into boxes. Wei Xiao, after watching the video, shocked, but I believe it. But the hands in the corner are obviously a pair of men's hands. Did you draw them all? Yunqing is responsible for the framing and packaging of my paintings. He can't do no work at all. Wei Xiao, makes sense then. When everyone else's gifts are ready, I'll let you know, and then you can hand them out together. Good. After finishing chatting with Zhang Lingzi, Wei Xiao turned around and clicked into a group chat. First, he forwarded the short video that Zhang Lingzi just sent him to the group, and then typed. You can't do it at this speed. Everyone who has finished dinner and is about to check his or her mobile phone to watch TV or who has work to do in the evening. This is also a volume. What else can be done? Don't rest, get ready. Pei Xinyuan knows a little bit of embroidery, which he learned from his grandmother in his hometown when he was a child. She has not gone out to take roles during this period. First of all, as one of the main creators of Empress Yuanzhao, she has to cooperate with the crew in promotion, just like the live broadcast the night before yesterday. Secondly, her status is a bit low now. She has acted in the drama of a TV director, and she still has a certain role. It would be a bit out of place to act in an extra role that costs hundreds of dollars a day or a special contract with only 2 or 3 lines, but I think to play an important role, you must at least have a representative work that can be taken out. Unfortunately, Empress Yuan Zhao has not yet started airing. She simply stopped taking roles and is currently preparing gifts for the audience in her rental house. After reading the message from the director, she turned off the TV she had just turned on the floor lamp next to the sofa, and then threaded her needle and thread to continue embroidering the unfinished sachet. Only some simple flowers and plants were embroidered on the sachet. The ones with animal patterns were also chosen to be simple and easy to use. However, despite this, I only embroidered less than 5 in one day. When Jiao Jiao comes back, she should be able to finish embroidering this one, right? Biting off the thread, Pei Xinyuan looked at the sachet in his hand and saw no flaws, then put it in a small basket aside, pinched his neck and looked up at the watch hanging on the wall. It's almost 10 o'clock. Why hasn't Jiao Jiao come back yet? Pei Xinyuan took the mobile phone on the table and sent a message, Jiao Jiao, are you having a night show tonight, are you coming back? She waited for a while after the message was sent, but did not receive a reply. She hesitated for a while but refrained from making a video call. If you are still filming now, it is normal for you not to have your phone in your hand. Just like when they were working as extras before, all their mobile phones had to be muted or turned off before filming. She got up and yawned, preparing to take a shower and go to bed. Han Jiao's cell phone on the table lit up, but she didn't notice it. The loud music in the dim box shook the eardrums, and the strong smell of wine and smoke could pick people up. Han Jiao was sitting in the corner with a glass of red wine and didn't know what she was thinking, until someone suddenly sat next to her. She squinted and looked over. Brother Chen, it's getting late, I'm going to. Hey, what's the rush? We haven't had a drink yet this evening. Come on, I'll do it first, you can do whatever you want. Han Jiao had no choice but to drink down her glass of red wine. Good drinker. Chen Qian gave a thumbs up, and suddenly turned his finger to a middle-aged man sitting in the middle of the big sofa next to him and being held in the moonlight by the stars. Have you seen that person? I'm here today. I brought you here just for him. Your drama is about to be finished, but it will take some time before it can be aired. Is it possible that you still want to go back and continue to be an extra? He burped as he spoke and leaned back with a determined smile on his face, but if you can get that person's favor, you won't even have to play the second female lead in your next drama, you'll just be the female lead. After speaking, he pushed a hard card from the table into Han Jiao's hand. Han Jiao hesitated for a moment. Chen Qian noticed it, stuffed it again, and then directly took back his hand. Han Jiao had no choice but to hold it tight. He was lightly tapped on the shoulder. Brother, I can only help you so much. The rest depends on your own efforts. End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 548. Chen Gan got up and left after achieving his goal. Han Jiao sweated while squeezing the card in her hand, then picked up the phone on the table and used the brightness of the screen to look at the appearance of the card. The black and gold color scheme is high-end and luxurious, but that doesn't change the fact that it is the key card for one of the rooms in the club. After remembering the room number and putting the room card away, she saw the message Pei Xinyuan sent her more than 10 minutes ago. Hands tightened before I started typing, I'm going to shoot all night, I won't go back, don't wait for me, go to bed early. After the news was sent out, Han Jiao took a deep breath. She and Pei Xinyuan had nothing to talk about at first, and the two of them hugged each other to keep warm in this huge film and television city. But now even she can't count how many lies she has told. It seems that she can never go back to the past. The situation didn't end until early in the morning. Han Jiao watched Mr. Bai being surrounded and left the box, and quickly picked up his bag and cell phone to chase him out. It was just that while avoiding people and rushing to get the keycard to enter the room, she accidentally got lost in the corridors of the club. When she found the room, she simply smoothed her hair and didn't dare to delay and swiped the keycard to enter. There were only a few spotlights on in the spacious and luxurious room. She held her breath and tiptoed carefully and walked in step by step. Just as she was about to pass through the small living room outside, the bathroom door on the side was opened from the inside. She quickly turned her head and looked over, and saw Mr. Bai wearing a bathrobe looking at her with a somewhat surprised expression. He suddenly became nervous. "Mr. Bai, I am. Did that boy Cheng Qian give you the room card?" "Yes, it is." "Oh, I know, come in with me." Han Jiao patted her hot face and followed, while silently comforting herself in her heart. This Mr. Bai has a good figure and good appearance. He is also polite and seems to have a good temper. In the end, it's not a loss for me. But this psychological construction collapsed when the other party opened the door to the inner room and she met two pairs of eyes looking from inside the room. But what made her collapse even more was what Mr. Bai said: "People are coming, take a look. I think it's pretty good." In the middle of the night, three men wearing only a bathrobe were all looking at themselves as if they were looking at objects. Han Jiao froze on the spot and could not move. What did Cheng Qian take her for? Seeing that she didn't move, the two men simply stood up and walked over. Han Jiao pinched herself hard. Stimulated by the pain, she found her voice, took a few steps back and hurriedly explained, "Hug, I'm sorry, you're in the wrong room. I'm going out, I'm going out." Speaking, he turned around and prepared to run towards the door. Although she gave up some of her principles in order to become famous, she couldn't do such a bottom-breaking thing. Even Mr. Bai didn't expect that the duck he had brought to the door would actually regret it and fly away. After a moment of confusion, he saw that someone had already rushed to the door and stretched out his hand to open the door. He caught up with him slowly. "Girl, it's not kind of you to do this. I can also guess why you came here. Are you sure you want to give up this opportunity? No, all the opportunities in the future. Believe me, I will definitely this ability." Han Jiao turned a deaf ear and stretched out her hand to turn the door handle. After finding that he couldn't twist it anymore, he simply raised his foot and kicked it out of desperation. The noisy sound made Mr. Bai's face change when he came behind her. He removed his gentle mask, stretched out his hand and grabbed Han Jiao's hair and dragged it back. "Children who go back on their word are not good, so don't blame me for treating her badly. I'll be a little rough with you." There was a lot of fun all night long in the club. Even if it suddenly started to rain and snow in the middle of the night, it did not affect the people partying all night long in the room with a constant temperature all year round. Until there was a huge crash, and then the alarm of the hit luxury car sounded, and other cars also sounded while flashing their lights. Soon, the excitement in the club was put on hold. After a while, the sound of police sirens and ambulances sounded almost at the same time. Pei Xinyuan didn't sleep well that night, and was very tired from all the messy dreams. He opened his eyes and took the cell phone on the bedside table to see that it was not even 3 in the morning. "But I don't feel sleepy at all." I just lifted the quilt and got up, opened the curtains and saw the street lights outside the window, shining brightly from time to time. "It's snowing." Before she could open the window to catch the first snowflakes in the imperial capital this year, her cell phone, which she had thrown on the bed, suddenly rang. "Who else can call me at this time?" She walked back and saw the notes displayed on the screen. Her heart skipped a beat for some reason. When she regained consciousness, she had already connected the phone and put the phone to her ear. "Xiao, why is it so late?" What came from the phone was an unfamiliar female voice, and there was a hint of imperceptible compassion in the tone that interrupted her. We found from Han Jiao's mobile phone that you were the last person to communicate with her. You are good friend Han Jiao. She fell from the building and is being rescued in the Imperial Third Hospital. Is it convenient for you to come over now? Pei Xinyuan didn't even know how he got out of the rental house. By the time she came to her senses, she was already standing under the streetlight holding her cell phone and taking a taxi. The plush pajamas that had been worked with Han Jiao not long ago, and the cotton dragging on his feet did not even expect to bring the umbrella. The snowflakes fell on my face and my body instantly turned into water. It was difficult to take a taxi in the middle of the night. After a while, the fur on my pajamas was soaked into strands and hung heavily on my body. When a taxi finally passed by, Pei Xinyuan touched his hair and pajamas. The ends were already hard and frozen. The taxi driver was a middle-aged woman with gray hair. When she saw Pei Xinyuan taking a taxi in the middle of the night and her destination was the hospital, she immediately felt sympathy. While driving, she took a pack of tissues from her hand and handed it over. "Girl, please wipe your hair, you can catch a cold easily." Pei Xinyuan thanked her, took out a tissue and began to mechanically wipe his hair and wipe the snow on his clothes that had started to melt again due to the heating. The female driver couldn't say anything when she saw this, so she could only try to get the person to the destination as smoothly and quickly as possible. When I saw someone getting out of the car and running towards the emergency department of the hospital, I suddenly remembered something and slapped my forehead. "Oh, this is not that person. It was live broadcast 2 days ago. What is it called? It turns out it is this little girl. Even a big star is just as embarrassed as an ordinary person when things happen to her." A sigh dissipated in the wind. It is normal for hospital emergency departments to be busy day and night. But tonight is particularly different. At the entrance of the emergency department, in addition to several family members of waiting patients, there were also 2 uniformed policemen. Pei Xinyuan was wearing wet pajamas, with tissue crumbs still in her hair, and the cotton mops on her feet were mostly wet, and she trotted all the way to the police. "How is Jiao doing? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry." Author, Press 11. Chapter 549. Although the identity of the visitor has been guessed, the police still need to confirm it again. "Hello, who are you?" Pei Xinyuan immediately recognized that the heroic-looking policewoman in front of her was the one who called her before to inform her that Han Jiao was in trouble. "I am Pei Xinyuan. Han Jiao's good friend is also a roommate. Before going to bed at night, he told me that he was going to shoot for one night, so how could something happen?" Now it matched the information she got from the victim's cell phone. The policewoman patted the shoulder of the little girl in front of her comfortingly, and immediately felt the dampness in her hand. Then she looked at how embarrassed she was all the way here. Which shows that he has a good relationship with the victim. Han Jiao is still giving first aid right now. She fell from the 6th floor and hit a car. The current situation is very bad. I hope you can be mentally prepared. Another male policeman who was on the phone when Pei Xinyuan arrived also came over, frowned and shook his head at his companion. "Still can't get through. Miss Pei Xinyuan." Pei Xinyuan still didn't dare to accept the fact that Han Jiao actually fell from the 6th floor. When he heard someone calling him, he raised his head in a daze. "Ms. Pei, we can't contact Han Jiao's family. You are her good friend. Do you know the situation at her home?" "The situation at home, Jiao rarely talks to me about the situation at home. During the Chinese New Year last year, she went home for a few days and then came back. She also said she would never go back. She rarely talks to her at home. The relationship with her family is probably not very good. I remember Jiao said she had a father and brother, but she never mentioned her mother. The two policemen looked at each other after hearing this. It seems we can only contact him after he wakes up. The key is. The next words were not spoken in front of Pei Xinyuan. But Pei Xinyuan could also guess what he originally wanted to say. He pursed his lips and couldn't help asking again, "You two haven't told me how Jiao Jiao fell from the building? Where did she fall? Is that right? Did someone force her?" The case is still under investigation. The place where the accident occurred was the Zhejiang Club. The message Han Jiao sent you must have lied to you when talking about the last question. A hint of darkness and anger flashed in the female police officer's eyes, and she took a deep breath. Then he said, "There is currently no evidence to prove that Han Jiao was forced." After the accident, when they sent the police to the scene, they immediately adjusted all the surveillance systems related to the victim in the club. From the surveillance camera, it can be seen that Han Jiao walked to the door of the room where the incident occurred and swiped her card to enter. What happened in the room after that was not captured by the surveillance camera. In addition, the person was taken directly to the emergency room by ambulance for rescue, and his life was at stake. They had no way to check whether there were any traces of the three male suspects in the same room on the victim. Moreover, the unanimous testimony of the three people was that the victim took the initiative to come to their room to drink and talk. In the end, after drinking too much, he walked to the balcony and fell from the building in a daze. This is consistent with Han Jiao walking into the room on her own initiative. Without any evidence, even if they knew that these three people were suspected of harming Han Jiao, there was no way to bring them to justice. Pei Xinyuan is not an inexperienced young lady. She and Han Jiao have been working together in the film and television city for so many years. How could they not have seen some dirty things? They have even been lured and coerced. It's just that she had good luck and vigilance to avoid it before, but this time Jiao failed to avoid it, and she paid such a heavy price. For a moment she even had some doubts, could Jiao really seek justice for herself? A glass of warm water was handed to her hand, and the gentle voice of the policewoman came to her ears, "Ms. Pei, sit down and drink some water and take a break. You look very bad now." Pei Xinyuan mechanically sat on the bench beside the corridor, sipped his saliva mechanically, and looked at the tightly closed door of the emergency operating room in front of him. From time to time, there were doctors walking in and out quickly. Looking at the tightly knitted brows on these people's masks, my heart tightened a little bit. Asterisk. All young actors in Zhejiang Club are suspected of falling to death. I have also heard about this. A friend happened to be celebrating his birthday in this club. He felt that it was too hot in the box, so he opened the balcony door. We were playing until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, when we heard a bang outside, and then all the cars parked outside started to ring, as well as sirens and ambulances. My friend was sober at that time. I have asked about it, and it turns out that she is indeed a little-known actress. Her name is Han Jiao. I searched online pictures and found that she looks like this. She is quite beautiful. I didn't expect this to happen on the first day of my part-time job at the club. When I followed our temporary foreman to the scene of the accident, the person had already been taken away by an ambulance. The smashed car was still there. There was a lot of blood, and it seemed that it had come from if someone fell from the 6th or 7th floor, he probably wouldn't survive even if he was pulled away. What a pity for such a young and beautiful girl. I went, such a big thing happened not long ago, and there were so many people in the Zhejiang Club at that time. I was confused. Why is there no enthusiasm at all? What else could be the reason for being suppressed and not allowing the scope of the situation to be expanded? You can't even understand this operation? Who has so much energy? This is a human life. Let's make a bet. I bet that the murderer who caused Han Jiao to fall from the building will do nothing in the end, and no one will even know his identity. You bet this guy can be brought to justice. Just bet. I will also add that this matter will explode, and when the time comes, the loser will shout BA to the winner. This is a must-win game, Just wait and see. After discussing this for a while, the people who discussed this matter found that only a few of them came and went in this supposedly active post, and they couldn't help but murmur in their hearts. Is it possible that someone really suppressed it on purpose? You must know that the daily activity of this website is an immeasurable number. Who can have so much energy to suppress this popularity? Some people fell asleep while discussing. When they woke up the next morning and clicked on Wang Zhang again, they saw that the post about the actor falling from the building had sunk to the lowest level. If he hadn't had the previous discussion records, you may not be able to find this post even on the homepage. No, you have to go up. He clicked on the post, entered a paragraph and clicked send, but was prompted by the administrator to prohibit posting. Grass. Pei Xinyuan waited until the sky outside gradually turned from dark to bright. The sleet that had fallen all night was still falling. There were soon many dirty footprints on the increasingly busy corridor of the hospital. The cleaning uncles and aunts had to mop every few minutes. The damp cotton slippers on her feet were stepped on by a young man who walked too fast. When the other person stopped to apologize to her, she realized belatedly that her feet were numb from sitting for too long and too stiffly. As she shook her head, she saw the green light turn on. She stood up suddenly and almost fell directly on the young man who was apologizing to her. His legs were so numb that he couldn't stand still, so he hugged the other person's arm and looked at the opening door of the operating room. Until she saw that the entire hospital bed was not covered with a white cloth, she opened her mouth excitedly, but couldn't say a word. My whole body finally relaxed and went limp. The back of the young man's hand accidentally touched the forehead of the girl holding his arm. Doctor, nurse, someone here has a fever. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 550. The consequence of Zhang Lingzi even opening the handmade gifts was that everyone originally planned to finish the gifts and send them out within a week, but now someone reported in the group the next day. I finished. Immediately, someone else was not to be outdone. I am also fast, I can prepare the last portion before lunch. Soon others also spoke. After showing off the small gold pendant with the word Fu engraved on it by herself, Wei Minmin looked at the works taken by others in the group and nodded with satisfaction. Very good, except that it is not as good as Sister Eleven's hand-painted paintings. Her gift is also considered the second best. But after counting it once, why is there still one person missing? Edge is not on the line. She seems to be making hand-embroidered sachets. She probably hasn't finished them yet. This thing does take a lot of work. By the way, let me tell you a little tidbit. Something big happened in our circle last night. Everyone who noticed that there was something to eat immediately picked up their mobile phones. What's up? Where's the melon? Say it. You should all know about Zijin Club, right? You are not talking nonsense. I am still a gold card member of the Zijin Club, and I am almost able to upgrade to the highest level Zijin card. This time, oh no, it didn't happen at the Zijin Club, right? Correct answer. Last night I had a friend who was a producer. He was dragged to a party by someone he knew. It was too late when the party ended, so I simply found a room there and got ready to sleep. As a result, guess what? When he was smoking a cigarette on the balcony after taking a shower, someone fell down in front of him. My friend was so scared that he couldn't sleep all night. He chatted with me and harassed me so much that he gave me gifts. Almost didn't finish it. Someone fell from the building? Was it an accident or an accident? My friend said that the police cars are here, it must be an accident. Then this matter should be on the news. It's already half the morning, and there's still no news on the internet. My friend said that it was probably someone who pushed me down, otherwise it would be impossible not to get up at all. It's scary to think about it. Zijin Club is very private, and many artists in our circle like to go there. The person who fell down couldn't be an actor, right? Well, he is a small actor, not even a 18th tier actress, and he doesn't have many fans, so he can be suppressed like this. If it was really famous, this club would probably have exploded. Others were quite reserved, but Wei Minmin had no scruples. It's probably that group of bad people who bullied these little girls who don't have the strength to protect them. Why don't you go to heaven yourself if you have the ability? Everyone. By the way, how are you doing? I don't know. If you fall from 6 or 7 floors, even if you don't die, your injuries will definitely not be minor. That girl named Han Jiaojiao is having a hard time in this life. Han Jiaojiao, why does this name sound familiar to me? Wei Minmin, who sent the message, raised her hand and knocked on her head. I saw the group assistant sent a reminder. Your friend Zhang Lingzi is online. Sister 11, why are you here? I thought you were preparing for a brand event. Wasn't it because you were blown up by the big melons in the group? Zhang Lingzi replied to Wei Minmin, and then called out the person who just exposed the big melon. If you have any news over there, let me know. The man who was approached by it was stunned for 2 seconds, and quickly said everything he had heard. Actually, I don't know much. This matter was obviously suppressed immediately by someone with more power. Otherwise, if the incident occurred in a place like Zijin Club, it would have been on the hot search list. Okay, I get it. Your friend Zhang Lingzi has been offline, everyone. This is really just for eating kagwa. But soon Wei Minmin received a private message from Zhang Lingzi. Han Jiaojiao is Pei Zinyuan's good friend. After reading these words, Wei Minmin froze on the sofa. Zhang Lingzi sent the message to Wei Minmin, and then called Pei Zinyuan's mobile phone. She knows more about what happened to Han Jiaojiao and Pei Zinyuan than anyone else in the crew. If Cheng Qian was involved in this incident, then the role of the general played by Cheng Qian in Empress Yuan Zhao would have to be refilmed. Pei Zinyuan has not been online in the group this morning, so it is possible that he received a notification from the police last night and rushed there. But, shut down. Listening to the mechanical female voice on the phone prompting her to hang up, Zhang Lingzi stood up while hanging up the phone. I'm going to the hospital. Shen Yunqing paused while typing on the computer, and the next second everyone stood up. What happened? My friend Xin fell from the building at the Zijin Club last night and her life or death is uncertain. I just called her and my phone was turned off. I was a little worried and planned to go to the hospital. Shen Yunqing immediately closed the computer and said, I'll go with you. When he first went to the crew of Empress Yuan Zhao to film, to be honest, he was not very impressed with the other actors in the crew. But the ones who have the deepest impression are Wei Minmin, a descendant of Wei Fuiying, and Pei Zinyuan, who looks like the female officer Qing Yuan next to His Majesty. Your Majesty knows about this matter. Based on his understanding of Your Majesty, it is impossible for him to ignore it. Zhang Lingzi wanted to shake her head and say no, but then she thought that what she had just said in the group had been suppressed by some people with considerable power. Although she was not afraid, the strength at hand was still very weak. Let's go. The two of them put on their clothes for going out, got into the car driven by Huzi, and went straight to the hospital. The car was halfway through the drive when the rain, sleet, and snow that had been falling for nearly 12 hours finally stopped. The sun struggled to pass through the thick dark clouds and cast bright light. Zhang Lingzi squinted and looked at the illuminated road ahead. No matter how clean and tidy the streets are on weekdays, when the snow melts and the streets are used by cars and people, they turn into mud without enough time to clean them. When the sun comes up, and with the help of hard-working sanitation workers, the mud will eventually be left to dry and be swept away. By the time the car drove into the hospital, the dark clouds had completely dissipated and the sky finally cleared. Zhang Lingzi took the sunglasses and mask handed over by Shen Yunqing and put them on. She turned off the mechanical female voice that was still reminding her of the relationship. After getting off the car, she strode directly to the reception hall of the hospital and stopped in front of the medical guidance desk. Hello, I'm looking for Pei Zinyuan and Han Jiaoxiao. The nurse sitting behind the medical desk was a little unresponsive when she heard the name in front of her, but when she heard the name in the back, she suddenly became excited. Excuse me, who are you? Zhang Lingzi was about to take off her sunglasses and mask when she heard a surprised voice next to her, Miss Zhang. She turned her head and looked over, and when she saw the person in uniform clearly, she raised her eyebrows in surprise. She had just met this female police officer not long ago. At first I was wondering how she could be recognized even though she was so heavily armed, but since the other person was a police officer, it wasn't surprising. Hello, is Pei Zinyuan here? The female police officer has suppressed the surprise on her face. What is the relationship between Miss Zhang and Miss Pei? We have worked together for a while and are very close friends in private. I just called her but didn't get through, and I know what happened last night from people I know in the circle, so I guess she should be here. Yes, I was the one who called Miss Pei last night, the policewoman said a little more apologetically. I blame my negligence. Miss Pei got caught in the rain last night and sat in the corridor all night. She didn't sleep a wink. She was found to have a fever this morning. She is currently drinking water and asleep. I'll take Miss Zhang and this gentleman over. End of chapter.